What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is Love and Marriage Huntsville. We are on season 3, episode 4, I believe. Oh no, episode 3. I thought we were on 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about it. Hold on. The episode starts off. We have Mel and Letitia, and it is so good to see the ladies together and talking and in a good place. They somewhere between the end of last season and now have decided that they're going to work on their friendship and they're going to move forward. And I like to see it because they were friends before all of this. They were really good friends before all of this, and they have a history, and so it was really nice to see them talking and just being in a good place and no cattiness and no shade being thrown. And Mel, kind of talked to her about where she was with the divorce and how she was feeling. And Letitia was like, this is the Mel that I knew. This is the Mel that I like. And I almost got a feeling that, and again, I don't think Letitia was being shady when she was saying this, but I almost got the feeling that the Mel that they've seen these last couple of years, because of the divorce, because of the stress, because of everything going on, it wasn't who she had become friends with. And so she's starting to see that Mel again. And so she was like, it's a good thing. I'm glad to see it. And then they get on her marriage. And she opens up to Melody and says, listen, we're good. But, we've been doing a lot of working, and I feel like the romance just isn't there. And, I got to figure out some things to bring the romance back. And Mel was like, listen, don't wait till it's too late. If you start seeing things, jump on it now. And, she said in her confessional that she saw signs and she chose to ignore them. And there's signs that she wished she had paid attention to because, of course, maybe, I don't think it would have, but maybe it would have saved, her marriage or whatever. So then we had, she talked about, date night. And she told Letitia, listen, you don't want him to feel like date night is a chore. Because she was saying date night is non-negotiable. We're going to do it no matter what. We can't let anything get in between. And Melody was like, that's great that you have a date night and that's a set time for you guys to spend together. But you don't want it to become a chore for him. You don't want him to feel like, oh my goodness, I have to do this. You want him to be happy and want to spend that time with you. And then she even said, maybe you guys can go see a counselor on the front end instead of waiting to the last minute. Like a counselor, you don't go see a counselor just because things are bad. And Letitia said something that I thought was probably very apropos. She said, I'm married to a Scott. They know everything. I'm glad you know who you're married to. But yeah. So I don't think Marceau would necessarily be open and happy with that, with going to a therapist, right? Anyway, so then we see Martell with his mama. He went over to his mama house to help her with her snake issue. Listen, I'm all here for it. I'm here for him being there and helping his mama out and all that good stuff. But if you knew you was gonna be spreading snake stuff, why you wear them dress shoes, Martell? Why you got them dress shoes on, Martell? But anyway, it was he was basically talking to his mother about what happened when he saw Mel's mom, the week before, how, she kind of, he felt was disrespectful towards her. And, she just wasn't very appreciative of it or what have you. His mother was like, listen, that's why I tried to stay out of y'all's business. I didn't like what was going on between you and Mel, but I stayed out of it because at the end of the day, I'm going to always love Mel. She's going to always be my daughter-in-law. And so you my son, and you're going to always be my son. And she said, yes, you made mistakes. I ain't like it. But at the end of the day, that's her child. She's not going to not love her child. You know what I mean? Like, that's her child. So he said, well, she wanted to talk to me. And at first I was like, we don't have nothing to talk about. We don't have nothing to discuss. But he was like, after talking to my mom, I kind of decided, well, maybe I should have a conversation with her. But I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. They sat down and they had a conversation, but I really didn't see where it was necessary. I mean, it sounds like she was upset with something he posted about how she's keeping his kids from him. And she was like, people came at me. People were coming for me because they felt like I was keeping you away from your child, your children. And I didn't do that. That was between you and Mel. And, and Martell was like, well, when Mel blocked me, listen, let's stop there. Let's stop there. I get it, Melody, that this man has hurt you. I get it that there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. I got that. I understand that. But if y'all are co-parenting, you can't block that man. You just, you can't. Tell him, that you only want him to text. Tell him, screen his calls. That's fine. But you block him, and now what is he supposed to do? So yeah, your mother, you basically de facto put your mother in the middle of it. Anyway, so then she said, he said, well, you were my only way of talking to my kids once Mel blocked me, and then you blocked me. And she was like, but I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Now, the look on Martell's face was like, sure you did. But they didn't go no deeper, so I'm going to leave it there. But I'm like, Martell is a lot of things, but I don't feel like he lying about that. I feel like that, anyway, that's just me. I don't know. Then she wanted to rehash the whole what happened between him and Mel and him cheating on Mel and all that. Listen, I'm sick of it. I'm over it. I'm done with it. We get it. He cheated. He cheated for a long time. He cheated. He lied. He broke up. He said he wasn't going to cheat no more. He ended up cheating again. It went over and over and over. So we get it. It happened. And Melody was very hurt. And this went on for a long period of time. I don't want to hear Martell justified no more. I don't want to hear, like, we didn't, listen, we got 3 seasons of this. They are divorced now. I just feel like we done beat that horse. And I don't know what you want from him. Like, she just kept saying you were disrespectful, and you talked to me in a way that Melody never talked to your mother. So I felt like she wanted an apology from him. I honestly couldn't tell you whether she got it or not, because I just felt like that was a long, unnecessary conversation. That's just my opinion. But whatever. Then we had this situation. We see Marceau down at Black. Black is open, seems to be doing well. And Marceau brought up a very valid point. He said, listen, it's only but so long people are going to come down here to support a black business. Well, what you should have said is, it's only but so long that people are going to come down here because they've seen this on the show. What are we going to do after that? And what are we going to do with people's experience? Because when they're here once, we got to get them. Because if we don't get them and we don't hold their attention, then they're going to be gone. He said, especially when they get down here and they realize that our drinks ain't cheap. There's not no little cheap situation. And he was like, people can go anywhere and get wings. People can go anywhere and get a drink. People can go anywhere and listen to this music. What are we going to do to keep them here? So that's valid. And so he's talking about the level of experience. I mean, the level of the experience when people come. Then we see him talking to Jalen. Listen, I hate to be the one to say I told you so, but I told you so. I told you that this was not a good idea. Not because, and it seems like Jalen, I really am here for Jalen, because Jalen used his voice, and Jalen let Marceau know. He said, listen, I told you that I had no qualification. You offered me the job. I accepted it. You told me you would get me training. You told me that it would be like an on-the-job training situation and you would help me. And that is not what has happened. When I reach out to you, when I reach out to Letitia, y'all's response to me is figure it out. Or you have to be more assertive. Or you have to, figure this out on your own. But if someone is telling you that they've never done something before, and someone is telling you, listen, I've never done this job before and I need some help, and they're reaching out to you to get some help, that is unfair to Jalen. Now, it'd be different if he lied on his resume. It'd be different if he had managed 2 or 3 other places. But the first part of this scene was you talking about how you wanted everybody's experience to be top notch and what y'all were going to do to keep the level of excellence up here when it came to this restaurant. But then in the next conversation, you're talking to the general manager and he's telling you that he's having some issues and he's having some problems, and your response is, well, stop making excuses. He's not making excuses. He's telling you he needs help. And it's not fair, because see, then when he ends up failing or it doesn't go the way you want it to go, then you're going to put it back on him. But it sounds like he has reached out to you and Letitia to ask for help. Now, some of the things I feel like he should be doing on his own without going through you, unless you've set it up that way. For example, they said something about cups. Well, I told you we needed more cups. You're the general manager. Why are you calling the owner about cups? Order the damn cups. You don't have a budget. You don't have a weekly, this is what I spend on supplies. This is what I spend on food. This is what I have to do. Like, you don't do that on a weekly basis. Why are you calling the owner about cups? Now, if Marceau set it up that Jalen has to go through him to get cups, that's another conversation. But it just seemed really weird to me, like we're talking about cups. Then he said something about the bar was slow, and I told you we needed no more bartenders, and he was like, no, you didn't need more bartenders, you needed more servers. Okay. Like, I don't know. I felt bad for Jalen because I feel like Jalen was being very clear in what he needed. And Marceau was doing what Marceau does. He was talking a good talk. He was throwing out, some nice little, metaphors and similes, but he wasn't really helping Jalen. So I don't know. I feel bad because I told y'all last year that was a bad idea. What you should have done was hire Jalen as an assistant manager, and then you should have hired a general manager that I think that guy that y'all had, in the restaurant showing y'all stuff that you said had retired, offer him a 6-month contract, let Jalen work under him for 6 months so that he could be training sort of like his apprentice, and then at the end of 6 months, boom, this is yours. But but to just throw him in the deep end and say swim, I just don't think that was fair. Letitia done went down to the Houston, and she trying to, because they having Houston Cigar Week. She had talked to Mel about that. Oh, that's the other thing. She had talked to Mel about their new product, the champagne, the chocolate infused champagne. I'm not real big on chocolate, but I'm here for it. If I see it in the store, I'll buy a bottle to support them. You know how that goes. And so they're going to be in Houston for a week. They're also going to be scouting a new location. Now, this is the scene that all y'all been talking to me about for the last month, about Kyra from Ready to Love is in it. And it looks like she does have a little bit more going on than what I originally was told. It does look like it's a little something there. That was in next week's, the review for, not the review, y'all know what I'm talking about. The preview for next week. So we'll talk about that next week. But it does look like there's a little more to Miss Kyra being in the building. But she's talking to Marceau about romance and wanting to kick up the romance. And we're going to be here for a week without the kids. And yes, we got a lot of business to handle. But I also want us to have some fun. I also want us to do a little bit of business and have a little bit of business at the same time. Now, my thing is this. Marceau talking about something. Yeah, that sounds good, but we can just save a whole lot of money and just have sex. And that is exactly what Letitia is talking about with romance versus sex. Intimacy versus sex. Sex comes a dime a dozen. Let's be clear. Y'all got 3 whole kids. We know y'all got that part. Anyway. We'll see how that work out next week. I feel like we're going to get more of that story next week. Then we meet Miss Tiffany. Now, we met Tiffany last week. We get to know a little bit more about Tiffany and her husband. They're newlyweds. They have a blended family. She has a 14-year-old son. He has a 15-year-old son. And they've blended their families. And we know that Tiffany has been invited to Miss Destiny's birthday brunch, and so they're talking about that, and she kept saying, I know Destiny, I've met Destiny, I know Destiny, I think I know Destiny. So they get to the brunch, and Destiny looks good, honey. Miss Melody looks good. I like that little bob you had, girl. Your hair be hit or miss for me sometimes, Miss Melody, because I hated that hairdo you had at the beginning of this episode. But I like this little bob you was working with. I do like this little bob. And Miss Tiff, and Melody lets Destiny know I invited Tiffany because I know you've been doing a lot of work with the Chamber of Commerce, and she used to be over membership. So, basically, go on a network, girl. I'm inviting her so that y'all can meet each other and kind of network and all that kind of thing. So, Miss Tiffany shows up, and Miss Tiffany does what everybody does when it's their first season on a reality show. I need to make a splash. I need to do something that's going to get people talking about me. And that's exactly what she did. First, before we get to Miss Tiffany, Kimmy and Destiny have this whole little moment about Jalen. Allegedly, Jalen has a crush on Miss Destiny, and her and Kimmy had a whole conversation about it when they went out to lunch. But that was before Miss Kimmy knew that Destiny was divorced, because Destiny let Kimmy know at the brunch that she was divorced. And, of course, Kimmy was in shock because she was like, what? Girl, like, me and you just had brunch. And she was like, I know, but I didn't I know, but I hadn't even told Melody yet, so I damn sure couldn't tell you before I told Melody. She said, yesterday I sort of had a bad day yesterday. And Melody was like, girl, why you ain't call me? And she's feeling some kind of way because she feels like me and Destiny are supposed to be friends. And she's supposed to be somebody that, can lean on me and I can lean on her. And when I was going through what I was going through, she definitely had my back and I definitely leaned on her. But now that the tables are reversed, she won't lean on me. And she's feeling some kind of way about that. Now, I understand that from two perspectives. One perspective, I feel like Destiny just isn't that person that is very open about her business. I also think there was a level of embarrassment there. Like, you literally were married, had a baby, and was divorced within a year, maybe a year and a half. And so I think there's a level of embarrassment there that she may not have been ready to share with anybody. It's, and I think sometimes we've got to stop taking things personally when people don't tell us their business. And she said she was having a bad day. She knows you're there for her, Mel. If she needed you, if it was that bad, if it got to that point, she knows how to reach out to you. And I understand that you want to be there for her because you felt like your friends kind of weren't there for you when they knew things were bad with you and Martell. So I feel like that's the other part of this is I want to be the person for you that I felt like people weren't for me. So I see it from both perspectives. But at the end of the day, Destiny has to handle and process the way that she needs to handle and process. And she has to do what's best, what she feels is best for her, or handle it in the way that she feels is best for her. But I understand Melody feeling some kind of way. So anyway, they was talking about how Jalen was flirting and she got to flipping her hair. Kimmy was like, don't be flipping your hair talking about my son. Like, She said, see, that whole conversation now got a different meaning now that I know that you single. Okay, no. Back up off my baby. Back up off my baby. I said, I know that's right, Kimmy. You better get it together. You better get them together. I know that's right. So Miss Tiffany pops up in there and she starts talking to Kimmy, and I think Kimmy Monsters play sports with her sons or whatever. And so she said something to Kimmy about, because Monster was caught in the bathroom vaping. Kimmy was like, say what? She was like, yeah, Monster was caught in the bathroom, vaping. Kimmy was like, well, that would be a Maurice question. Now, what I can appreciate that Kimmy did was Kimmy did not sit there and say, Monster ain't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. Not my child. But because she didn't know. Now, she said she felt some kind of way because she was like, if this is something that happened, why am I hearing about this at brunch with this woman who I don't know instead of from my husband? That's a conversation we should have had. And I absolutely agree with her. But what I'm saying is you don't know whether the story is true or not. This woman, you don't know nothing about who this woman, Hoppo. As Destiny said in her confessional, who? We don't know her. You don't know what that was. Maybe there were some kids in the bathroom vaping. Maybe Monster's name was associated with it, but found out later he ain't had nothing to do with it. Now, you still should know if anything happened as it relates to Monster, any type of situation at the school or at, with that's a serious situation and you should absolutely know. You absolutely should know. Anyway, so I feel like that's a conversation she's going to have with Maurice. Then she turns to Destiny and says, yeah, I met you. Remember, your husband was winning, Entrepreneur of the Year award. I remember I saw you, and then the next day I saw you I think she said it was at Melody's house or something. And she was like, and I told you congratulations. And you were like, that wasn't me. So basically what you're saying is when you saw LeBerick at one situation, he was with a different woman than he was with Destiny. Now, here's the thing, Miss Tiffany. First of all, why the fuck would you bring that up in front of all of these people? Because let's be clear, there were other people there that aren't even on the show. So these were her real friends there outside of her show friends, okay? So that's number one. Why would you say that out loud in front of everybody and embarrass that woman like that? Number two, unless that other woman was Destiny's fucking twin, you knew good and damn well it wasn't the same woman. You was being messy then and you being messy now. So then when Destiny got upset and had to walk away from the table, you had the nerve to be like, girl, you being real dramatic right now. I mean, it's not even that serious. Oh, you had to walk away crying? Okay, fine. I mean, I'm going to let you cry if you need to. Bitch, what? You literally, I don't care that she's divorced from that man. It's still fresh, and her feelings are still fresh. And you sat there and basically just let her know that you saw LeBerick with a whole nother woman at a major event that there's probably a story behind that event that he lied to her about, or she couldn't be in town for, or something to that effect. Because remember, Destiny didn't move to Huntsville until they actually got married. She was living in Nashville. I was like, oh, you messy. But for whatever reason, that's what these women do. They come on these reality shows and they feel like they got to make a splash. So they do some real extra shit on the front end to try to secure their job on the back end, child. Anyway, that's Miss Tiffany. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.